So now that we are live, we're going to start deploying our application. So we can go back to AWS, and here in OpsWorks, you can find OpsWorks here if you recently visited, right? Or you can type here OpsWorks and it will show in here in the search bar, right? Once you click on that, it's going to take you to the OpsWorks console, right? So we have stacks right here. So we're going to add your first stack. So we're going to click here where it says start fresh, right? So once we start fresh, we can go ahead and create a sample stack. That's pretty simple. You can follow there the prompts, and it will create one for you, either in Linux or Windows. I'm not going to choose that. I'm going to go ahead and choose Chef 11. Because Chef 12, you have to bring your own cookbooks and use community cookbooks. In the case of Chef 11 stack, you use built-in cookbooks for applications and deployments. This is the one that we are looking for, okay? So basically, we're going to create a stack. And this is very similar to CloudFormation. CloudFormation, you create a stack, but just the word stack is the one that is similar. The rest is very different because OpsWorks works with layers, and also you have to create instances, and then you have to create an app. So it's a process that you have to follow steps, and then when you delete the stack, you have to follow some steps. It's similar to when we have a VPC and route tables that you cannot delete whatever you want. There are dependencies that you have to go one by one and make sure that things are deleted in the right order. Of course, when you do this in Terraform or in CloudFormation, you don't have to worry about that. And we're going to do this in Terraform probably tomorrow or the day after, but we're going to deploy this in Terraform as well. So the name of the stack is going to be demo stack. Okay, so that's the stack. So stack is like a platform. We create the platform, and then in the platform, we can go ahead and create all the resources, right? So the region that I'm going to use is US East Northern Virginia, right? The VPC that I'm going to use is the default VPC. I don't have any other VPC. I remember I created one, the custom one before. I deleted it. So I don't have any other VPC. If you still have the one that you created yesterday, you can use it, right? But make sure that you're using a public IP, a public subnet, because we are deploying a web application. So we need to have a public subnet, right? So the default subnet that I have here, I have 6 subnets. I'm going to choose the US East one, A, which is the first one, right? The operating system that I'm using, right? I have several choices here. I can choose all these guys. I'm going to use Amazon Linux 2018.03, which is the latest one. That's fine. The key that I'm going to use is the one that I created before, just in case I need to SSH into my instances, right? Now, the Chef version is 11.10, and that's what we select here, 11, right? Now, I can use a custom checkbooks, right? I can say yes, and then I can get a checkbook from a Git repository or from a subversion or an HTTP archive or S3 archive. We're not gonna use any custom checkbook, okay? So we're gonna just leave this option no. We can choose different colors here for stack if you want to. This is a cool feature here, different colors. I'm gonna keep the default one, okay? Now, we have advanced features here like a default root device EVS backed. I'm using an EVS backed instance. I don't want to use an instance store instance. Instance store is ephemeral storage. If you stop the instance, it will disappear. So we don't want that. We want to use EVS backed. I can use, well, actually, in your case, guys, you will have to type new, I'll select new IAM role, because what happened? This the default role required to work with other dependent AWS resources on your behalf. If you're unsure what to choose, let OpsWorks create the role for you. So click here, new IAM role. Remember that OpsWorks is working with EC2 instances. So you have to create a role, right? Now, also, we need an IAM instance profile, which lets the instances work with whatever you're using. And we need this. So if you don't have one, let OpsWorks create it for you. Next time, you don't have to do that. You just let it selected the way it is here, because I already used OpsWorks before, right? Now, the API endpoint region is this one because I selected US East North Virginia. So that's why I chose this one. If you select Ohio, it's going to say US East 2, right? Host name is layer dependent, depending on the layer. OpsWorks agent version, there has to be an agent installed in the instances. This is done by default. And also here, you can let OpsWorks create a security group for you or security groups, or you can create the stack and later you can add a security group. I strongly recommend letting OpsWorks do it for you. Okay, so I leave yes selected, right? So I just click on add stack and now the stack has been created, right? The demo stack is already created. Now I have several steps that I have to take. The first one, I have to create a layer or add a layer. So I can either click here or here. And a layer is a blueprint for a set of instances. It specifies the instances resources, install packages for files, and security group. I'm going to go ahead and add a layer. Now, the layer can be OpsWorks or Elastic Container Service or RDS, just in case we have a container or we have a database here that we
Can I
can
stop
add.
you for a second, Professor? Like, when I tried to create it, they asked me that I need a repository URL.
Okay,
Should I
okay, where did it happen? At what stage?
just the
In,
page before
in the
this
stack?
one?
In the stack?
The creation of the stack, yes.
Okay, because you selected something there. Okay, don't choose custom cookbooks. Did you select Did you select the custom cookbook? Because I didn't select it.
Yes. Should I do no for the custom?
No, no, no. If you say yes,
okay.
yes, say no, say no.
Okay.
Now,
Professor, for the layers, are we selecting the add layer, the layer?
yes, we're gonna select PHP here, right? But in the layers, we have 3 different layers. What layer are you creating? An ECS, RDS? We're creating an OpsWorks one, right? So right now, as we are going to deploy an HTML file, we're going to select PHP app server, right? That's going to be our layer. And that's it. So once you do that, there's nothing else that you have to do. You can go ahead and add an Elastic Load Balancer, but you have to create it. There's no Elastic Load Balancer for this region right now. The one that I had, I deleted it, right? But you could have had an Elastic Load Balancer and add it here, okay? So I'm not going to do that now. This is all we need to do. Just select PHP app server and add the layer. So now the layer is added, right? You can add another layer if you want to. You can add another layer with a database if you want to connect your application to a database, right? But in this case, we only have one layer, which is the one that we just created right here. Okay. Now, we can go ahead and add an instance right now, but let us explore this a little bit more. So the settings of this layer, it has instance shutdown timeout, 120 seconds. This is the time in seconds that shutdown recipes are allowed to run. Auto healing enable. If auto healing is enabled for a layer, AWS OpsWorks automatically restarts the layer's instances in case of a failure. So this is already enabled. So that's what's going to happen. Recipes, we have the different recipes here. We have different stages here like setup, configure, deploy, undeploy, shutdown. These are the stages that your OpsWorks stack will go through, right? These are just to see, guys. We don't need to be experts in this or understand it perfectly, just for you to have an idea that there are recipes. If you click here, OpsWorks runs an events built in recipes first, followed by custom recipe. We have network. There's no elastic load balancer. We have a public IP here, yes. Elastic IP, we have no, right? We have EVS volumes. We don't have anything yet. We will be able to see it when we create the EC2 instances. There, even we don't have an optimized EVS optimized instance either, right? We don't want to be charged for that. Security group, OpsWorks is going to create these two security groups that you see here for us in our instances, in our account, and the instance profile is the one that is default in the stack. Remember that in the stack we created, you guys created or let OpsWorks to create an IAM role and an instance profile. This is the one that's going to be inherited in the instances. So we have the CloudWatch logs. This is disabled right now. We can enable it and have stream command logs and stream custom logs to see the logs of this stack. I'm going to say off, and tags. These tags, you can specify the tags that apply to resources in this layer. Tags can help you identify resources in cost allocation reports. Some say name, and they say, I would say demo web app stack.
For the CloudWatch, Professor, it's asking me to upgrade.
Don't do anything CloudWatch.
Okay.
We do that.
So I didn't have the same look as you do for the CloudWatch, and they said upgrade required.
Why would you do that? We're not doing anything here. We simply just saw it, nothing else.
Okay.
We don't do anything with it.
Okay. Right? So just go to tag. Okay.
So now that we explored the layers, we can add one more layer, add a layer here. Let's add an instance. Okay, so click here, add an instance. So look at this. So this is going to be very, very similar to what was done before, but we'll do it in a different platform, right? So we can have existing OpsWorks, we can have EC2 instances and own servers, or we can have a new instance. That's what we're going to do, a new instance. So we're going to say demo PHP app, right? That's going to be our host name, right? And of course, what do you think we're going to choose here if we want to remain in the free tier?
T2 micro.
T2 micro. So let's look for that. And this should be here in the T. Let's find T right here. So T2 micro, right? And you can have this subnet, any subnet you want. I want to keep it there in the US East one. I have some advanced settings here. So you can have 3 different types of instances launched: a 24/7 instance, a time-based instance, and a load-based instance. We're gonna keep the 24/7. Okay. Now, the key is inherited from the stack. Remember that we created the stack, so the stack passes this information to the instance, so we don't have to select anything. Just in case you want to change the key, you will select another one, right? Or simply do not set an SSH key. It is only selected by default. I want to keep it there. This is also inherited from the stack creation, right? You have the choices to change it, but it's already inherited from there. The NG version, it's already inherited from the stack. You can have all the versions here. I want to keep it inherited from the stack, right? The tenancy, remember that your instances can be dedicated or shared. The default one is going to be that one. You can have dedicated instances or dedicated hosts. The default relies on the VPC settings. If you take a look at the VPC that we have right now, let me do this, right? I just open our VPC. The custom VPC is the one that we're using. So if you take a look at the VPC and I click on it, I'll see that the tenancy the tenancy is default. You see, tenancy is default. So that relies on the VPC settings. So it means that the tenancy is going to be default as well. Okay. EBS backed, you can choose the volume. Remember when we create an instance, you can choose the volume. We're going to keep it that way. Okay. It's going to be general purpose, SSD, GP2, and then 8 gigabytes, right? So here we have all the settings for our instance. We can go ahead and add an instance. Now the instance is in the stopped status, as you can see right now, right? Now we can either start it here or start it here, but this is very helpful when we have 20 instances, for example, or more than one, right? You can start all the instances at once. If we go by this, we have to go one by one, like start. So let's say that you have 10 instances. What is better? To use start all instances at once, right? But as we have only one, we're going to start our instance. So our instance is right now it's in the requested status. So it's going to have a requested status, pending status, different statuses, and then it's going to be available like live. Okay. So in the meantime, while this instance is being created, we're going to go ahead and create an app, right? So we created.
Before you go there, can you go back to the layers and tags? Because, oh, you put type instead of name?
Yes.
Because it wouldn't let me put name.
Name is reserved.
Oh, okay.
So now that our instances is been created, now it was in the booting, that's the booting stage, booting status, right? In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and create an app, right? So we can either, and guys, I hope you're following the steps: stacks, layer, instances, apps, and then deployment. Okay, it's a very organized way to do it, right? So I can add an app here by clicking here or clicking here. So I can use either one, so it doesn't matter. So I add an app. I can call my app my demo PHP app. Okay. Now the type is going to be PHP. I have different languages here. I'm going to use PHP. We don't have a root document root. It's optional. We don't have it. The data source type can be RDS, OpsWorks, or none. We're going to keep it the way it is, none. And then we get to the repository type. And then we have a Git repository, or we can have a subversion, HTTP archive, S3 archive. We're going to keep it the way it is right now. And then, well, this is telling us that we have to have a repository and paste the URL here, and it will take the code from there. Okay, so now let us go ahead and let us go to GitHub, right? And in our account, we're going to create a new repository, right? So once we're here, we're going to create a new repository. So once I create the repository, once I'm here, I'm going to call this maybe demo OpsWorks. Okay. Demo OpsWorks. That's available, right? So once we have that, we can just leave it as is. We don't have to change anything. It's going to be public. We don't have to add a README file, not get ignore, choose a license, no. So we simply go ahead and create a repository. So now I'm going to follow these guys so I can have my origin connected, right? So I'm going to go back now to my VS Code, and here I'm going to create a file. Before I create a file, I'm going to bring the terminal. Remember that one way to go straight to that folder is by simply right-clicking and opening integrated terminal, right? And that will open the terminal for me, as you can see here, right? So right now, we're going to follow the instructions here. And the first thing that we're going to do is say git init. We have to initialize that. right? And that will initialize an empty repository. Okay, so far so good, right? So now we're gonna go ahead and create an HTML file.
Dediğin cumhur mu? Arada bir arıyorum onu da
Okay.
cevap vermiyor. Biliyorsun o biraz
Okay.
şey. Senin dediğine göre cumhurara yani
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute you all, right? And if you have anything to say, let me know, okay? So I'm going to create a file named index.html, okay? Right? So now we're gonna create an HTML file. So we're gonna say probably HTML, and then we're gonna say head, and then this is when I'm gonna put the styling, okay? And then we're gonna say body, right? Okay, so far so good. You guys there?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna say here H1. I'm gonna say congratulations, congratulations. You have deployed your first PHP app. Okay, right? Opening browser. Enable to launch the browser. Chrome error. Manage extension. Okay. Oh, don't worry about that. So we have our, let me open it. This is what we see so far in our application. One moment. So I'm gonna open Review Finder. I'm going to open this with Google Chrome. And this is what we see. Okay, so far so good. We have congratulations, you have deployed your first PHP app, but this is local, don't forget that. Okay, so we're going to have here maybe say class, and we're gonna call this class, we're gonna say class is maybe maybe congratulations section, right? That's gonna be our class. Now we're gonna copy this guy, and then we're going to say here, style. We're gonna open style tag, and then we're gonna say, well, classes are identified with a dot. So I'm gonna say this, and then we're going to change the styling of this text, right? Now, I'm going to put this inside a div. And we've seen div before. Remember, a div is a section, right? There's a div, and then the class is going to be for the div, right? Right? And then I close the div. I'm going to put this inside the div, the section, right? And now it's a different ballgame, right? So now I'm going to say here that I want this to be center. So I would say probably margin auto. So this should center the div. Let us see. Okay, where is it? Okay. It doesn't. Okay, that's okay. So we can say maybe margin left, and then we can say probably like maybe 400 pixels. And then that should Put it in the center, maybe a little bit more. 450, right? You should put it more or less, maybe 500, that will be fine. Right? Now we're in the middle, perfect. Now let's have some borders, maybe the width, maybe the border. I want to have some border, and I want to say that the border is going to be of 1 pixel thick, right? And then the color is going to be solid, and it's going to be black, solid black. So solid means that the border is going to be a line. It's not dotted or dashed or anything. It's just like this, okay? So right now, I'm going to put this, maybe the width of this guy is going to be probably 80%. Let's see if with percent we can work, okay? So now we have something like too big. So I'm going to say probably like, I would say 200 pixel. Okay. This is too narrow, maybe 300. Let's see, maybe a little bit more, probably 600. And then we have maybe a little, probably 900. And then we have something like this. And then now we can say text align center. So we want to center this guy. So now it's centered, as you can see, right? Now we can have some coloring, like background color, right? We can say that the background color is going to be probably red, right? Red, and we have something like this, right? And the probably I can have something maybe clearer than that, right? Something like this, maybe. And the font can be white. So we say color white, right? And now we can have something like this, okay? Now I can have some shadowing in the back, like box shadow, right? And say maybe that 12 pixel for every side, you know, top, right, bottom, and left. And then we can say black, the color that we're gonna use for the shadowing, right? So we have something like this, right? Maybe I can reduce the shadowing a little bit better and say I wanna have this, maybe 10 and 10, right? A little less shadow, right? Perfect. So congratulations, you have deployed your first PHP app, okay? Nice. So here we go. So we have this is all we need to deploy that, okay? So now that we're here, right? What we have to do is continue the steps that we had before. So now we're gonna add it, commit it. We're gonna say branch master, and add the remote origin, and then push it to the master, okay? So we're gonna go ahead now and say git add, just like we did before. And you know that this dot represents every single file inside this OpsWorks folder, right? Add, and then we're gonna say git commit, right? And we're gonna say first commit, right? Right? So now that we have that, we continue, and then we're gonna say git branch -m master, okay? So that's what we say, git branch -m master, okay? We do that, perfect. So we move to master, right? Now we're gonna copy this, right? And then we're gonna paste it here, right? Perfect. And now we're gonna say git push -u origin master. So git push -u origin master. right? It's going to ask us for our credentials. So it's going to ask me for, so essentially wants to sign in to GitHub, not a problem. I sign in, it's going to take me to another page that you don't see, guys, right? So I hit continue, and then I will be able to open that and GitHub, and now you see that. So with this git push -origin master, it's gonna provide VS Code with an authorization token that is verified, and then it will let you authenticate yourself. You don't have to even enter your username and password. So every time now that you make a change, you just push it, git push, and that's it, right? So we go back to this guy now, and we refresh, and we're able to see the index.html file there. Okay, so now we can copy this guy, right? This guy here, and we can come back to our OpsWorks and copy the paste the URL here. Okay, so the URL is pasted here. So that's the one that contains the code that's going to be deployed. If we take a look at the code here, it's the code that we pushed before, right? So this guy now, that's all we need to know, right? You can enable SSL, you know, to make it secure. You can have a domain here, right? Like the more, maybe you want to add the domain, right? So this is the time to enter my guy. Remember altanusclass.com, right? I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to add the app right now. So I added the app. So if you take a look at the instance is online now. Perfect. It's online, right? If you take a look, let me see here. And let's try to see EC2, right? We see that we have an instance right here. Is the demo stack, okay? Is the demo stack demo PHP app instance. It's right here, right? We don't have anything yet in this instance, right? If we try to do this, not found, the URL was not found on this server, so it's nothing here, right? So what we have to do now that we have the app is simply go ahead and deploy it. Okay, so we're gonna deploy the app. We do this, and then now we're gonna deploy. That's the command that we're gonna run on this instance. And OpsWorks will run the command one of one instances. The assigned recipes are run on all selected instances. So basically, we're running that code on the GitHub repository on the instance. So let's deploy. And then our instance right now is in the running state. Our app is in the run state. We have to wait for that to happen, right? So far, so good, guys?
I fell behind because I was trying to get my code to push, but I think it pushed now. I just gotta copy the URL for it.
Yes.
Okay, then I post that in the repository URL. Did you do anything for the SSH key, branch version, environmental variables?
Yeah, now just sort of deploy and that's it.
Oh, add app, you mean?
Yeah.
So you didn't do
Okay.
anything after pasting the URL?
Nothing else.
Okay.
So now that we have this guy here, the demo app, right, is successful, right? We click on this, and then we have several ways to see it, right? The instance right now is gonna have some code here. This is the instance, as you can see, right? Remember that I don't have any elastic load balancer that we can suspend this, right? And then I can go ahead here and click on the public DNS of the instance, right? And we get, congratulations, you have deployed your first PHP app, right? So this is what happens with you when you create deploy an application with OpsWorks, right? Now, you may update the code, right? You may update the code. So you will have to kind of redeploy this, right? Once you have made the change, so we can add something else here, like probably H2, right? And maybe we can say where I feel comfortable, okay? Right? H2. So now, if we take a look at this in the guy here, where I feel comfortable, I can take this guy out of the section and it will be out of that div. I'm making that out of here. So right here, so I can use probably maybe like dividing this here, right? And maybe I can say like maybe break a line break here and have something like a little bit down. Perfect. And then I can put this guy in the middle. So I can say probably here H2 and then text align center, right? And I can put it in the center of the screen if I want to, right? Like this. And then I can probably make it maybe a different color. Like I can have body background color, maybe beige, right? So I can have this like beige and right. And I can have this guy probably in another div, this guy here in another div. And then I want to say class, I want to use ID and say comfortable. Not a good name for ID, but that's okay. And I can put this guy inside comfortable, right? I just format it. And instead of putting here H2, I can say comfortable. Remember that IDs are started with the hashtag and classes are started with a dot, okay? So here I can say probably the margin left can be the same as this guy, right? The border is gonna be the same, why not? Right? The width is gonna be a little less because, I mean, it's a short text, right? Let's see what we have so far. So this is what we have so far, right? So the width can be probably 500 and the margin left can be a little bit more there. So this is what we get now. We can make the width a little shorter and then this can be 700 because it's a short text. So maybe 800 because it's not that big. So now we have this. The background color can be green, right? Green. And the color can be, I think, black is fine, okay? I think I have to put white. So I'm gonna say color white, right? And this is what we get, okay? Perfect. So right now, I'm gonna make this border 4, so I'm gonna make it thicker, right? Perfect. and I'm gonna make this a round thing. So I'm gonna say border radius. I'm gonna make this probably 20 pixels, and this is how it's gonna look. Right? Beautiful.
It's not centered. You gotta move it left more.
Maybe to the left a little bit more.
Yep.
Maybe it's a good
750.
700, 750. Okay, that's fine.
There you go.
Okay, so now I'm gonna make this guy clickable. So I can say probably make it a link. So I can say href, right? Ref. I'm gonna say, please take me to maybe
Disney World.
maybe- Is that the website? Like,
I don't know.
okay, let us look for the website. Disney World. Okay.
DisneyWorld.disney.go.com.
Okay, good. So it's gonna be our website here. Okay, so it's gonna take us here. All right. And then here, we're gonna say maybe H2 take me to Disney. Let's see. Okay. Okay.
The URL's messed up in your code.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes, it is. So it's only one here.
Yep.
Okay. So very good. So take me to Disney, and then we can say probably here H2 color white. Okay, like this. Take me to Disney, and then we can say this, and it works like this. Perfect. So right now, let me do something that it will open up in a different tag. So say target. You see, we're in a different tab. Target, and we say blank. Okay, that will open in a different tab like this. It doesn't close this one. Okay,
Nice.
perfect, perfect. So right now we have this guy, right? Now we have to do is simply we have to push it again. So we say git add, git commit. Okay, added more HTML code, and now git push. That's it. And now we'll push it to GitHub. Perfect. Now GitHub contains more code that I just added right here, right? And what I have to do here is redeploy this guy, right? So I can redeploy this guy, okay? So deploy app, right? Right, and deploy. Right, so it's updating. Just waiting for that. Okay, it's taking a while. Okay, now it's successful, right? So we can go ahead and click on this, right? And we have all the logs here, set up, configure, deploy, and those are the stages, right? Like the commands. Right now, I can go ahead and click here. Now we're going to see my app deployed, and I can go ahead and visit this name right here. Perfect. It works. So this is how you deploy a web application, a PHP web application